So it isn't perfect lighting, but it is lighting. I had a rough night last night. At least one, possibly two of my neighbors are running their TVs all night. Maybe they're sick. Maybe they're a little deaf. Maybe they're a lot deaf. I don't know. It was so loud at one point, I could hear what the person on TV was saying. So I rolled up tissue and I shoved it in my ears. Now, somewhere around here, I actually have earplugs that a guy gave me when I was at my yard sale, and I was telling him about the problems I was having with my neighbors back then at the trailer park. I guess I'm going to go up to the service coordinator today and talk to her about it. She's pretty cool. The manager, bless her heart, she just kind of gets his face if you complain about anything. I suppose I could go directly to the doors of these people, but you never know who you're dealing with or what you're dealing with. So you got to be careful, especially in Florida. They've got to stand your ground law, and you certainly don't want someone to gun you down. Mercy. So I'm here in my little abode in my new chair. It's so cherry. Thank God, you know, I was sitting on that trifold bed for the... My poor back was like, ugh. So, yeah, that's a good thing. As the heat gets worse as we approach summer in Florida, I know it's only April, but believe me, it's hot. As it gets hotter, I tend to get more fibro-y, you know, my fatigue, overall lethargy, and just kind of like weakness. It sucks. You feel so sick. You feel like you've got the flu, but you don't, because you can recover just like that and be like, hey, I can go do something. My hands haven't been bad either. I've been back on eating healthy and no cupcakes. I did snag that French bread, and I may make some French toast this morning. I'm back to my old cowboy coffee, because you know I don't have a coffee maker. Maybe you don't know I don't have a coffee maker. I don't have a coffee maker. I had a Black & Decker. There goes Black & Decker again. And it started just leaking everywhere. So I got rid of that. I threw it away. And I said, I remember cowboy coffee. I had some out west. I'm just going to throw some coffee and water in my 2-quart pan. I think it's not even a 2-quart. It's this little tiny Rivereware pot. The copper bottom ones, remember them? Well, I put my water and coffee in there. I measure it. Excuse me. The pollen's killing me. I'm telling you. I feel like I get a sinus infection coming back. Speaking of which, I gotta take a sinus pill. I'm gonna go pull one out right now, or I'll forget. I'll be right back. There are some things in modern medicine that I'm very grateful for, and loratadine is one of them. Thank you, loratadine. Fluconazole is the other. I think that's what you call it. Flucona, I don't know. It's a and suddenly, it's steroids. Lord knows what it'll do to me over the years. Let's not go there. So I've been thinking, you know, my story's over. I'm not going to drive off in a van. I'm so dang sick, I couldn't anyway. Truth of the matter is, sometimes when I'm really feeling poorly and I'm here in this little place, I'm like, thank you, God. Seriously. it's like I know it's a miracle. There's no doubt in my mind. I know that my God and my husband's spirit watch over me and care about me and are protecting me. That's a good feeling. I'm glad to know that, even if the neighbors do play their TVs too loud. I'm just glad to have a place to lay my head, and now I'm going through all my stuff, and it's like, I have way too much stuff. I still have piles of boxes in the pantry closet. I haven't even gone back to storage. What am I gonna do? I have a ton of rocks. Okay. Let me clarify that. These are not just rocks. These are gemstone rocks. And some of them are already cut and polished, etc. What do you do with them? Who do you sell them to? How much do you ask? I've got some gorgeous turquoise. Big, fat chunks, all polished and ready to go. I need to figure out what to do with it. It's money. And I need money. We all need money. Why do we have to live in a society that needs money? Why can't we go back to the barter and trade system? Why can't we go back to the old ways and forget about all this? TVs and phones and coffee makers. I know. I can't live without them either. It's just a grand old thing when you can turn on a switch and bling, you have light in a dark place. Or you turn on a faucet and there's water. Glorious, glorious water pouring down on you. And soap. What did they do without soap? Maybe they used those leaves like saponins and they kind of like just scrub themselves and get all foamy. Is that why there's those little bubbles on leaves in the summertime, in the morning? Someone told me it was some sort of bug spit. I don't know. If you know, leave it below in the comment. I did want to say thank you so much for all your prayers. I was overwhelmed. I cried. I couldn't believe how many people rallied for the ones we love. And if you have anyone in your life that you're needing prayer for, leave it in the comments, because we have a lot of good prayer warriors here. And we should definitely have a weekly, prayer list. So that's one thing I could do that would do good in the world. Because we don't want to stand alone. It's kind of sad to be alone in your grief and in your worry and sorrow. We're not supposed to worry, but let's face it, we're gonna. I think even Jesus worried when he was in the Garden of Gethsemane. What did he say? Take this cup from me. I don't want to go through this. Yeah, I get that. Not to the extent that he had to get that. Oh. But anyway, I'm very grateful for your prayers, and I want you to know I think of y'all. I might not know your, little signature name on YouTube, and I might not know you personally, but in many ways we've gotten to know each other, and I know that you're watching for a reason. There's something you're looking for. That's why I go to YouTube and look for videos, or elsewhere. Sometimes I'll Google my problem, like, how do you get over grief? Well, the truth of the matter is you're never going to really get over it. You're just going to kind of live around it. It's always that central aching sorrow. For me, the loss of my spouse is way different than the loss of my parents. Now, I remember the loss of my parents, especially my father, who was only 48 It was totally unexpected. That was, I think, the most frightening thing I've ever been through, because I didn't know what was going to happen to us financially. My mother had been a homemaker all her life. I knew she wasn't going out to work, and back then she was living off of like 400 and something a month. How did she do it? She got about 40,000 back then in a life insurance policy, but it wasn't much. Then there was a funeral. I can't imagine what she paid for that, but thank goodness for several months, my father's employers, they didn't have any pension plan. They sent her his check every week. That helped her a great deal. My father was a hard worker. But back to losing your spouse as compared to everything else. Maybe it's because over time you learn to live with those longer losses, like my father, who, oh my gosh, I was 18 when he died, and my mother, I was in my 40s. 48. The age my father died, I lost my mother. I was that age, you know. I think about my own mortality and it freaks me out. I'm not like afraid of death. I'm just sad for those I'm going to have to leave behind. You know, they're going to be heartbroken. Not that I'm like blowing my trumpet or something. But I know how much they love me and need me. I'm like their best friend. They call me, like yesterday, I was on the phone with Rachel and we were talking. Suddenly Bonnie starts calling, so I make a three-way conversation. And Rachel's like, hey, if you need Mom, I'll go. And she said, no, I need the both of you. I have a moral dilemma. And so she stated her case and her problem, and I threw out ideas, and Rachel threw out ideas, and Rachel's one. She's a smart girl. She's 41. Wow. Talk about making you feel really old. Bonnie's only, what, 23? Is that right? Yeah. Rachel was like 17, almost, yeah, 17 when I had Bonnie. Whoa. Somehow the numbers don't work. Is Bonnie 22? Am I asking you? Anyway, I'm gonna have to like write their ages down and stick it somewhere. That's the other thing about aging. You lose your mind slowly. Thank God Alzheimer's does not run in my family, but you never know. I mean, there's always dementia, right? I told them, if you know I'm starting to lose it, tell me to my face, because then I'm going to go roll myself off of a cliff. I don't know. Can I do that? I don't want to hurt anyone. I know why my husband did what he did, because he was going to starve to death. You know, knowing now that his organs were so strong, except for his lungs, he was going to suffocate and starve. I understand him wanting that choice, and I still wish our government would make a national right to die law. I still feel that way, even as a devout Christian. As devout as I can be, you know me, I'm terribly wishy-washy, but I've been through an awful lot, you know, and I was really bitter and angry, and especially angry and bitter toward God. It's like, if there's a God, I don't want him in my life. I had just felt like I'd had enough, like I was pushed right over the edge. I don't know, somehow we still bounce back. How do we do it? the indomitable human spirit. I guess we realize there's others that need us and we need to be here, right? I need to be here. Maggie said to me the other day, "It takes a village, Mom." I don't like Hillary Clinton, sorry. But I have to agree, it does. It takes a family unit to help each other. And I'm glad I'm here for that. Even if I can't go wandering off. And besides, I know exactly what's going to happen as I wander. I know me. I'm going to be in terrible mourning because my best friend is gone. He won't be with me. He won't be there for me to share the beauty of it all, the wonder of it all. God's creative hand. To be able to share that with someone who understands what I'm saying, what I'm feeling, what I'm seeing. That was the whole purpose of getting married. Having someone to go through all this madness with. And suddenly, you're all alone in the madness. I know we have kids, but let's face it, they need to live their lives. You can't, be barging in on them all the time. "Hey, I'm lonely. Hey, come with me." Though, I never ask. But the other day when I said I was texting, Michael and I had a falling out. It was brief. And, misunderstandings. And so I'm texting on the phone, and she's like, "Morning, Mom. Hi, Maggie." And, we're just talking like nothing happened. And then I said, "I'm going to Hobby." She says, "I'm cleaning the house." And I said, "I'm going to Hobby Lobby. I need some hooks." Now I've got the hooks, and I need screws. Guess I'll be going to Home Depot. The problem is I need to take stuff with me, but let's not get off track. So I said I was going to Hobby Lobby, and she said, "Hobby Lobby?" And I could hear the exclamation point. I said, "You want to come?" And she said, "Yes, pick me up." So I drove over there and grabbed her, and we went to Hobby Lobby, and then we went somewhere else. And then we went to the grocery store, and then we had to go home because she had perishables. Oh, I know where we went. We went to Chili's, and I had a mango daiquiri. I don't usually drink, but sometimes I feel like a mango daiquiri and chips and salsa. This time their salsa was terrible. It's like they ran out of their own salsa and they bought what's that one with the P? Pace or something? This is gross. El Paso, I don't know. My hippie cup. I got this lovely cup. So that's the front. Reminds me of a van I once had. And that's the back. It says love. Dennis and I were in North Conway, New Hampshire. And we always went to the Metro for coffee. Sometimes a blueberry muffin if they had them. Oh, what a muffin. Wish I could still taste. So we go for coffee. They had the best coffee in town, and he'd sit and he'd be reading the Conway Sun, looking for yard sales, because Dennis had to go buying. I don't care what kind of vacation we were on, he needed to go buying. We got to pay for this vacation. And, I loved antique stores, so I had no problem. Yeah, let's stop at some antique stores because I'd find little things and I'd buy them and have some of them to this very day. And I have the memories of many of them. These are the things I'm talking about. What would it be like to stop and be alone, going through the antique stores we always went through together? I just feel so lost. No, I'm not over him. I'm not over it. And I still feel that deep, empty absence. I didn't want him to hang around and suffer and be sick. I didn't want him around that way. He was very valiant in his struggle to stay alive, in his struggle to try to survive it, in the hopes that somehow he'd get better. It's not how it was. And I think of him all day, every day. The last thing I do at night is say, I love you, Dennis. I'll always love you. But back to my story now. So I feel like my story is ended here. And I'm not sure really what to do with it, with this channel. I just don't know what to do with it now. Sometimes I sit here and I think, I gotta make a video. And then the idea is like, of what? I mean, the story's kind of over. All I'm gonna do now is add little tchotchkes to my place, you know, and try to find a place for things, and other things try to throw them away. I keep trying to downsize, but instead of downsizing, I'm upsizing. It's like, now there's a sofa, and there's a chair, and there are lamps, and there are side tables, there's a dresser, and I'm kind of like expanding in one area, and, you know, trying to shrink the other. Craziness in my life, paperwork, oh, paperwork. And I need to start to deal with my bitterness from the past. I'm not sure if I'm really bitter about it or just incredulous. Sometimes I think about what people have done, especially in relationship to me and them, and I'm shocked. I'm like, how can they be like that? I could never be that way. I don't think I'm bitter. I think I'm just shocked. And I can't understand, and the memories come back to me, and I don't often know what to do with them. Some people say, give it to God, and I do try to do that. Hey, you know, this is yours, and I'm done with it. I don't want to think about this anymore. Sometimes I'll just say out loud, no, just to make it go away, or to let it know, you're not welcome here. No, I'm not going to think about you. If I start to talk about a story, it feels so vivid and real, you know, like you're reliving it. So I shouldn't do that. So what am I doing today? Today is Friday. The kids have another show. I'll be going over there sometime around 4 because they usually start around 6 or 7, and that gives them a couple of hours to get their show ready, because usually it's like a mess from the night before, which they had one last night. They had their appreciation show, 5,000 followers. Yeah, they don't all show up at each show, but they're following. You know, they get about, I don't know, $47.50 to a room, you know, when they're doing a auction. So that's not bad. Excuse me, I need to sip this. My mega cup, I only fill it halfway though. It's huge. It's one of the cups I wouldn't let go. The rest of them I let go because there was a lot of pain in those cups. My husband's juice cup, I just couldn't take it with me. The cup I got for Bonnie years ago and she didn't want it, I let that go. I let the new people have it. there was no memory in that cup for them. And that's good. There's no memories in this apartment for me, except that I applied for it while he was still alive. And he never got to come here with me. And it's good that he didn't, because I was going to sleep in the bed, in the living room, and he was going to get the bedroom, and bedroom's small. He would not have liked that. He was very claustrophobic, and it would have been weird. I guess I would have run my bed along the counter there and then have furniture, and then maybe folded my bed up in a day. Not that it matters now, but I thought about it the other day. I'm like, this would have been horrible. And of course, with his income, with my income caring for him, we wouldn't have needed to move. You know, we would have made it just fine. But that's not what happened. And that's not going to happen. This is mine, and I can do with it however I want to, because it's just me. I do have to watch out for if Finn comes to visit. There's some items I'm going to have to pull up off the shelves and put up high. So, yeah. We wouldn't want to lose this incredibly fancy lamp. It has no freaking bottom. They were too cheap. But I like that because I'm like, hey, I could stuff little fairy lights up here. I could put some shells up here and then stick like a wooden bottom on the, you know, or like a rope bottom and give it that nautical touch. These shades don't stay on. Very odd. They're just kind of all loopy. Well, that's pretty much it. Do I know if I'm going to keep going on with this channel? I don't know. I guess I can always just check in and say, hey, I'm okay. And you can see my background. I need another chair over there because this chair doesn't look right facing that way. And where I'm OCD, I can't handle it. That chair facing that way, and it looks really odd. So I wish it was a swivel. I could just turn around and look at my favorite spot. So I'm going to need a smaller chair right there, and that one can face this way. I can't put this chair over there because it's too wide and would encumber the walking space. So I need something small. I wouldn't mind a like tiny recliner. I saw one over at, was it Kane's Furniture? And it was cute and small, but I have to like measure and make sure I still have. Christopher Lloyd always says 18 inches is all a human needs to get through, but I like to give 2 feet. I mean, come on. So, yeah, I'm gonna measure and figure that out, and maybe use Brandy North's recommendation of putting the blue tape on. But now that I have a jute rug down, I mean, you gotta be so careful with it. Stuff just comes right up off of it. It sheds. And you can pull up the braiding, and you don't want to do that, so I'm going to have to go get the little vacuum from Maggie. I think I'm going to have to trade her off. She's going to have to take my, the one with the roller, and I'm going to have to take the plain one, but that's a pain in the butt because I got to hold it. It's 5 pounds and vacuum, and I don't know, something about that position hurts. Yeah. Well, I've talked for almost half an hour, which is incredible, and this will shut itself off if I don't stop now, and then I'll have 2 videos. I don't want to do that. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for praying for needs, and that's it. Bye.